Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to convert a piece of code that we have already up and running, where we have a file with our class book. So it's a code for a library. We have some inheritance with a final year project, and we have a function where we're creating all our instances. This returns a list of our initial library, and we were importing that file into our main controller, where we were calculating using some methods to calculate the fine for some of the books. Now we want to integrate a GUI using tkinter to have this same functionality. The example I'm going to show you has a very simple GUI to start with, where the user is just going to decide if they are a staff member of the library or a customer. And once that option is selected, then on the main we will either perform certain actions or different actions. So basically on this new file, this is going to be the file where we're going to have the code that we used to have in our search library, for example. So our main is here, and as I was saying, I'll show you how this works. This code is only giving us here a menu where we're deciding what type of person we are, if we're a staff member of the library or we're a customer, and then we click go, and in this case we're just getting a printout here telling us just to see that it's working properly. I've commented out everything else, but obviously you can see here that you could continue using all the functionality of your library down here. Now, how did we do that? Well, we have a basic GUI. Remember, we created in the main here using tk, and our class menu is the class where we have defined all the text boxes, labels, and so on that we want. Then main loop runs the GUI, displays it on the screen, and if you see here, we have our geometry, our title, there's a fixed static label. Then we're gonna have, I've used in this case an option menu that has two options, so the user can only select one or the other, in this case staff and customer. And then there's a go button that executes the cmd go, which is this command here, where what we're doing is, if the variable on the option menu is staff, then we set up the variable person to 0. If not, we set it to 1, and that is going to be a customer, and then we close this. You see here, this is not indented, it's inside the cmd go but not inside the else. So irrespective of what the person selects, when they click go, it closes down. Okay, now then on the main, if we go down here, checking if the variable person is set to 1 or to 0 to decide if this is a customer or a staff member. In this case I'm just printing. Obviously if you wanted to add functionality, you could say if the person is a customer, then they are going to be asked if they want to check the price of a book, the fine for a book, or check if a book is available, and so on. And the same for a staff member of the library. They'll be able to add books to the list, delete books, and so on. So the extra functionality would have to be implemented within each of these two blocks. Now we need to talk about the variable person, because by default in Python, every variable, remember we don't need to declare the variables beforehand, but every variable we use is a local variable, meaning, for example, if we use person here within this cmd go, only this bit of code that I just highlighted will be able to see that variable. The same down here, when we use it on the main, if we're just saying if person equals 1 here, and we didn't declare it as global, we'll see now in a minute what that means, only the values of person that are defined within the main would be available to us. So by default, all your variables have a local domain, meaning that they are only visible to the other bits of code that are within their same environment or function in this case. Now, in our case, we have the variable person is defined here through the option menu button, and when we click on the button, then we are getting it here. Now, we want to make sure that when we're changing the value of the variable person here and here, that value is available for the main to check what the value is. So in order to be able to do that, okay, so remember this person variable only exists here, and this other one only exists in the main. So that's why we have added a global person at the top, kind of like with your import statements. Then every time we use it inside a function, we want to say again that the variable person we're using is not a local one, it's this one up here, the global one that everybody can see. So here we're saying go to the global variable person and read its value. When we continue to implement our code for what the customer can do, what the staff member can do, we need to make sure if we're using functions outside this main function, we need to make sure that either we pass the list, initial books in this case, to the function and return the updated list, or that we declare that variable, the list, as a global variable, so every function can see the same variable and read and write from the same variable. Now this would be an initial basic setup if we only want to use a GUI for this menu initial window, and from there on we're going into the command window and just writing the code on the main. If we want to implement extra functionalities, so for example when we click on go, a new window opens up, and that new window is going to execute some actions depending on what button you click on. Then you will have another class for your new window. So in here, instead of saying welcome staff, we would open the new window. You would have your second class with your new window. It could be written here, or it could be on a separate file and you import it. And then on the command buttons or whatever element on your tkinter, on your GUI, you select that it's going to be performing the action, usually the command button, but it could be another one. On that bit of code, you will have to deal with the actions. So if you want to find, say, the find for a book, that would be implemented as a method of your class, of your GUI class. That could be calling your original class for a book and using the method here. Okay, but make sure that if you're using variables that different parts of the code, different classes and different functions have to see, they share the possibility of reading and writing from that variable, you need to declare them as global. Otherwise Python will create a local variable that is only visible within the environment, so within the function or within the class. Okay, I hope that helps. Goodbye.